Hello everyone, welcome to Accounting 210. In this video, we talk about chapter 6, cost behavior. So what's the meaning of a cost behavior? So it basically means when the cost changes, how will this affect when the activity level changes, how will this affect your total cost? So how will cost behave as the activity level changes? Um, Different main things. I'm not going to read the PowerPoint. Instead, I just point out the important thing. So first, you want to know the different types of cost based on cost behavior, right? We talked about this in chapter 2 briefly, but chapter 6 definitely has more details about the variable cost, fixed cost, and then if you combine those two, will be the mixed cost. So variable cost, the more volume you have, the more cost you will have. So it's a straight line starting with the 0 point, because if you don't have any activity, the cost is 0. And we see the slope of this line is the variable cost per unit of the activity. So make up y equals 3 times x. So that means when one more unit of the activity, the cost will increase by $3. Okay. So read this, y equals to variable cost times x, and then the key factors by yourself. Read those things by yourself. Next thing, talk about fixed cost. So it's the other thing. It's a constant, right? How will your cost behave when the activity changes? No behave. It's constant. It's a constant. Then we also talk about for each unit, the fixed cost per unit will decrease. So never use fixed cost per unit to make your prediction. Also read this character by yourself. Last thing, you say, hey, if I combine those two, that will be the mixed cost. So you have a portion of fixed cost, no matter what you do, there is a constant portion of your total cost. And then the more activity you do, the higher cost you have to pay. So this is the normal life, right? Like for your utility, right? I believe most companies say, hey, even you don't use, you still need to pay $10. I just make a number as your fixed portion, and the higher usage you have, the more money you have to pay. So that is y equals 3 times x plus $10. So this is the fixed cost. This is the variable cost. So you will say, how do I get these? How do I get these models, right? How do I get this model? Three different ways. The first is scatter plot. We don't worry too much. I'm not going to test you, but read related information. Second one is a high and low method. So you definitely need to know this. And when we talk about high and low, we talk about high and low volume. We talk about the X. We talk about the cost activity. It's not the dollar amount. We look at, hey, the high is the X, and then the low is the X. High and low is high and low X. It has nothing to do with your dollar amount. So your Y is the dollar amount. We don't look at that. We look at high and low activity. High and low activity. Make sure that's the key word. That's the key part. So we first, I think you did this in statistics. I'm not going to do this. I'll show you some examples in the multiple choice. But you get the slope, then you get the fixed cost. You get your equation. Okay, you get that. So your expectation is you need to get the equation. You also need to make a prediction. So if y equals to 8x plus 8,000, I say, hey, if x is 100 guests, what's the predicted total cost? Then you need to tell me the number. That is high and low method. We did this in class, so I just post my solution. I post it's there. And then next thing we talk, the third way is using the regression analysis. You need to know how do you read the Excel output, and then you need to know the R square higher. Larger means better. Larger means better. It means it's goodness of fit. It fits the observation better. So you look at, if I give you this output, you check the R square, you know, higher, this is almost 95% is good. It means 95% of your observation can be explained by your model. And here is the key thing. You go all the way, look at the coefficient. The intercept is the intercept is the fixed cost. The x variable is your variable cost. So your y will equals to 7.85x plus 14538. Okay, so x variable coefficient, that is the slope, and the intercept is your fixed cost. You put it here. Make sure you know how do you read the Excel output. Okay, then also use that to make a prediction. Use that to make a prediction. Once you get your model, make sure you can use it to make prediction. The last thing we talk about variable costing and then absorption costing. So we said absorption costing is it absorbs all of the manufacturing cost to the product. So product cost has direct labor, direct material, and all the manufacturing overhead. It absorbs all the manufacturing cost to the product cost. So it's used as external. So it's your revenue minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit minus all of your period cost of operating gives you operating income. Variable cost only for internal, and it's only for variable manufacturing. Variable manufacturing. With your revenue minus all the variable cost gives you contribution margin minus fixed cost gives you operating income. So it only has direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead. While your absorption has direct labor, direct material, variable manufacturing overhead, and also fixed manufacturing overhead. So the only difference is how do they treat fixed manufacturing overhead. Under absorption costing is a part of your product cost. Under variable costing, it became the period cost. Okay. How do we treat fixed manufacturing overhead? So we did some example. So you first definitely need to know how do you get product cost for each unit. And the variable costing is your direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, that's 8. So your variable costing gives you $50 per unit of your inventory. But for absorption costing, you need to allocate your fixed manufacturing overhead to each unit. You totally spend 300,000, you produce the 40,000 units. So each one, sorry, my bad. You totally spend $1 million is here. You totally spend $1 million as a fixed manufacturing overhead. You made 40,000 units. So each one you allocate $25. Each one you allocate $25. So your total product cost under absorption costing will be $75. The difference 75 and 50 is 25 because of the fixed manufacturing overhead. You have to know this. You have to know this. So once you do that, you can get your operating income. Under absorption costing, you sold 40,000, so each one is 75. You get your operating income 620. Under variable costing, you have sales minus all the variable costs gives you contribution margin minus all the fixed costs give you operating income. You also have 620,000. So what did we learn is your production is the same as sales. You produced 40,000 units, you sold 40,000 units, your operating income under absorption is the same under variable costing. Okay. But I think we also did a fancier, like, you know, other example in class. We also did this one. I'm not going to work step by step, but you found out the, what I'm trying to say, requirement one. We did said the Product cost under variable costing is 50, and then under absorption costing is 58 because of the $8 fixed manufacturing overhead allocation. Then we look at the first year. The first year you produced 23,000, but you sold 21,000. So your production is more than sales. Then we found out your variable costing operating income is 177,000, but under absorption is 193,000. So they are not the same. You first need to know if your production is more than sales, operating income under absorption costing is higher than under variable costing. So you will say, hey, how much higher? How do I reconcile this? So under absorption is 193,000, under variable cost is 177,000. They are not the same, but what's the difference? The difference you need to know, the difference is your ending inventory time, your allocated fixed manufacturing overhead. So you produced 23,000, you sold 21,000, your ending inventory will be 2,000. So your ending inventory is 2,000. Our allocated fixed manufacturing overhead, we totally spent 184,000 as the fixed manufacturing overhead, and we produced 23,000 units. So each one we allocate $8. So your ending inventory 2,000 times fixed manufacturing overhead for each one $8 gives you 16,000. Gives you 16,000. That's also the difference of 193,000 minus 177,000. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is for the second part of chapter 6, variable costing, absorption costing, you need to know how to get your product cost for each unit. How do you get product cost for each unit? You also need to know when production is not the same, which one is higher. You definitely need to know variable costing is only for internal, absorption costing is for external. And then you also need to know how do you reconcile what's the difference of these two methods. Okay, so that's a quick review of chapter 6. I will post, as always, I'll post everything to the Blackboard. Just let me know if you have any question. I see you in the next video. Thank you.